Hello grade 5 students. This is our first online lecture for semester 3. In this lecture we are going to talk about fractions. We've already learned how do we make equivalent fractions, and today we are going to add and subtract fractions. So as I said, our objectives first to add and subtract like fractions, and adding and subtracting unlike fractions. So we are going to learn what's the meaning of like fractions and what's the meaning of unlike fractions. First of all, let us start to learn adding and subtracting fractions with like denominators. First, you know that the bottom number of a fraction tells how many parts each whole is divided into. So if you look at this figure, we have a circle and it's divided into 4 parts. So the bottom number for this fraction is 4. So any fraction you're going to represent, it's going to be out of 4. So for example, if you colored this part, then the fraction is going to be 1 over 4. So it depends on what you need to color, but you have to know that the denominator, it's the bottom number, and it tells how many parts each whole is divided into. If you look at these pictures, and here you have 1 over 2. When I say 1 over 2, as if I'm saying that I've colored one part out of 2. So what's the denominator in this case? It's 2. So the denominator is 2. In the second fraction, we have 4 out of 6. So the denominator is 6. 7 over 8, then the denominator is 8. 7 over 5, then the denominator is 5. And 2 over 3, then the denominator is 3. So just to remind you that the bottom number is the denominator. Now we have learned before how can I add fraction using pictures. You know this because if you look at the first picture, we have 1 part out of 3, and in the second picture we have also 1 colored part of 3. So all in all, we have 2 pictures or two colored parts out of 3. So how can I add those 2 fractions when I add the colored parts that I have? So what if I don't have a picture? What if I need to add but I don't have a picture? You have an example here. We have 5 over 4 plus 3 over 4. You have to know that when you add and subtract fractions, you don't work on the top and the bottom together. You work only on the top. Let us see what does that mean. We're going to make this exercise using coloring parts. In the first fraction, what do we have? 3 out of 6. So I'm going to color 3 parts out of 6. So this is 3 parts. Now I have a second fraction which is 2 over 6. When I say 2 over 6 means 2 colored part out of 6. So all in all, if I want to gather the 2 pictures in one picture, I'm gonna get this, right? So what do I get? I get 5 over 6. 5 colored parts out of 6. Let us do another one. So 2 over 9, this is 2 over 9. And 5 over 9, this is 5 over 9. If I want to join them in one drawing, so that means I have to color 7 parts out of 9. So 2 over 9 and 5 over 9 are 7 over 9. Let us do another example. 1 over 3 here, 1 over 3 here. So all in all, I'm gonna get 2 parts out of 3. Also here we have 2 over 9 and 2 over 10 and 3 over 10. If I want to join them in one figure, that's the first 2 and those the 3 parts, so it's 5 over 10. What do you observe, guys? What do you observe in this figure? Uh, as if you look at the denominators here, I'm gonna take the first example, which is 3 over 6 plus 2 over 6 equal 5 over 6. If you can see that we added the numerator, but we keep the denominator. So you have to know, when you add and subtract fractions, you just copy the denominator as it is, then you add or subtract the numerator. So you have to keep in mind that, what's the denominator here? We have 5 over 4 and 3 over 4. So I need to keep the 4 as it is, just copy it directly. Then you can add the numbers on the top. What do you get when you add 5 plus 3? It's 8. So now we put on the top 8 and the denominator stays as it is, which is 4. I'm going to tell you now, guys, never ever add the denominators. Never. You just copy the denominator as it is and you add the numerator to get 8 over 4. Okay? Let us take one for subtraction. Also, if we have 7 over 5 minus 2 over 5, you look at the denominator. What do you have? You have 5. So you need to copy the denominator as it is. Then now you can subtract the numerator. What do we get when we subtract 2 from 7? It's 5. So we need to put at the top 5. So we get 5 over 5. Now let us apply some exercises. I advise you to work on them alone first, so pause the video, solve them, then watch the solution. Now 8 over 5 minus 2 over 5, as I told you, you copy the denominator, then you subtract the numerator, so you got 6 over 5. Now 5 over 3 plus 2 over 3, you copy the denominator, which is 3, and then you add the numerator, so you got 7 over 3. 8 over 6 minus 4 over 6, you copy the denominator, which is 6, and you subtract the numerator, so you got 4 over 6. 10 over 4 minus 3 over 4 is 7 over 4, and 3 over 4 plus 2 over 4 equals 5 over 4. Now, what if I have unlike fractions? What's the meaning of unlike fractions? Well, unlike fractions, they have different denominators, so I don't have the same denominator to copy it. In this case, like if you can see, we have 2 over 3, 3 over 4, 5 over 6, and 5 over 8. All these are fractions that don't have the same denominator. Then adding or subtracting with unlike fraction is not that different from adding or subtracting like fractions. You just have to find what the denominators have in common. So you should make the denominators the same, and then you can add them or subtract them. We already learned somehow when we used to compare fractions in the previous lesson. We used to make the denominators the same either by multiplying or by dividing in order to make the denominators the same to compare them. Do you still remember this? So the same thing we are going to do here. So we are going to find the common denominator for both fractions in order to add them or subtract them. Let us take an example. So our objective is to change unlike fractions to like fractions. The steps are very easy. They are only 2 steps. The first step is to find a common multiple that will go into both denominators. Then, whenever you find this common multiple, you have to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number, so the denominator is the same as the common multiple. And whatever you do to the top, don't forget that you have to do the same for the bottom. Yani, whatever you multiply the denominator by, you should multiply the numerator also by. Let us take an example to make things clear. Here we have 2 over 3 and 5 over 6. We have in the first fraction the denominator 3, and the second fraction the denominator is 6, so they are not the same. So what you are going to do is to list the multiples of 3 and 6 in order to find the common multiple. So the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. And the multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and 36. What you can see is that 6 is the common multiple for both of them. So 6 is the common multiple for 3 and 6. Do you still remember when we learned this in the first semester, when we used to find the common multiple of two numbers? The same we are going to do here. So let us continue. So 6 is the common multiple. That means I have to multiply the first fraction. Don't forget that you have to multiply the numerator and the denominator at the same time by 2. So we are going to multiply the first fraction by 2 to get a denominator of 6. So the second fraction, no need to multiply it because we already have 6, so we just multiply by 1. So in the first fraction we will get 4 over 6, and in the second denominator we're going to have 5 over 6. So this is 6. Let me just put it here. So here we have 6, and we have here 6. So now you are ready to use this fraction for addition or even for subtraction. Here we have a lot of exercises. I'm just going to do the first one for you, and the others you have to practice them alone, and of course we're going to solve them in our live session. So I'm going to start with the first one. Here we have 1 over 2 and 1 over 3. The denominator is 2, the denominator is 3. That means I have to list the multiples of 2 and the multiples of 3. The multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Of course you can know it mentally, and I know this, but I'm just teaching you the steps. 3, 6, oops, I found it, then I stop, so it's 6. That means I have to multiply the first fraction by 3 and the second fraction, sorry, this is 3, and the second fraction by 2. That means the first fraction, it will become 3 over 6 plus 2 over 6. So what do I got here? I got 5 over 6. The same thing you are going to do for all of these, and also if you have subtraction, the same concept. Okay, so I'm not going to solve them, just practice them alone, and don't forget that we're going to solve them in our live session. So that was everything for our lecture, and if you still have any question, then wait our live sessions. Thank you.